Hey yo, what is going on with the Chico Army and any newbie, aka a viewer of the tube? If you don't know by now, my name is Tyler, the host of the Crypto channel that knows TikTok is for creeps and for China to invade America through our youth. And Vine was so much better, per example, Will Sasso.
Try that again. Homemade almond milk. Water, almonds, lemons.
You know how we lemonade. It's time for Chico Crypto. So I'm sure you could tell what this video is about, something highly interesting that is going on in the cryptocurrency space. Ethereum becoming the gravity well that will suck Bitcoin assets into its protocol and others in the future. And the data for Bitcoin is already there, which proves just this. Wrapped Bitcoin since May has exploded from about 1K Bitcoin in May to today over 6K, a 6x increase in just over 2 months. That's basically $60 million brought over from Bitcoin, which is now on Ethereum. And that asset, Wrapped Bitcoin, has actually been trading a bit higher than BTC over the past 7 days, as there is money to be made with interest, borrowing, and lending in the DeFi protocols. Just look at the charts and you layer over WBTC, slightly higher almost every day. But that is just one Bitcoin on Ethereum asset. There are many protocols pushing out their own versions. RenBTC, which since its recent launch just keeps exploding. There's now over $7.4 million locked in Bitcoin, which is nearly 800 BTC according to Etherscan. Then you have Token Launch IMBTC, which has been out for a bit more time than Ren, but not as explosive. From Etherscan, we can see there are just over 560 IMBTC, which means 560 Bitcoin have been locked up, worth over $5.2 million. And then finally, the slower growth of the collateralized Bitcoin on Ethereum protocols, P tokens, PBTC, which has only managed to capture about 30 BTC, worth just over $230,000. Although if you added this all up, that's over 7,500 BTC, and combined it into one wallet, it would make it a top 250 BTC wallet already. Let's just say in another 6 months, it doubles to 15,000 BTC, which in my opinion is on the low end of the estimates. That would put DeFi Bitcoin into the top 50 Bitcoin wallets, which are mostly centralized exchanges up in that range. You starting to shake yet? Getting scurry, Binance and the like? So I'm sure some of you are like, Tyler, what is the best Bitcoin on Ethereum right now? Well, they each have their own pros and cons, and I'm going to try and bring out the best and worst in each of them right now. So let's begin with the largest one, WBTC. Now this is the centralized version of Bitcoin on Ethereum. It can be considered a trusted version, where your Bitcoin leaves your hands and a custodian watches over them for you, while you use your WBTC in the DeFi landscape. Which those proof of assets for that Bitcoin are fully verifiable on the WBTC website for you to make sure the assets are there. I wonder why Bakkt can't do something like this. Now the custodian for WBTC is BitGo, one of the largest in the space for digital asset custody, and has regulations overlooked and certified by the SEC. But the management of the wallet and the protocol is done through the WBTC DAO, which we can confirm by going to the GitHub for it, which shows the multi-sig wallet, merchants in the system, and all DAO members. So WBTC, if you want to mint it through one of their merchants, you have to do the KYC AML process. So a lot of the diehard decentralized heads did not like that feature, but a founding partner of WBTC, who created RenBTC, put out something which makes getting WBTC so much easier, the WBTC Cafe, which connects directly to a ledger or web wallet, and you do not have to go through the KYC to get WBTC. And this is powered by, of course, Ren, but also Curve Finance, two solid DeFi Lego pieces. So WBTC is the most liquid, a pro, custody by BitGo, can be seen as a pro and a con, which we'll get into with the other protocols later. DAO for asset management, pro, KYC, con, but solutions are being built. So this WBTC, I would recommend it for someone looking to put large amounts of Bitcoin on Ethereum, as it has the guarantee against loss due to hacks lost by employees and more by BitGo, but your moves are known due to KYC. Now the next Bitcoin on Ethereum comes from Ren again, but this time their own version, fully powered by the Ren VM. We have talked about it before, Ren BTC and the VM, and the reason I like this version is because of how collateralization works. As we can see from the stats, we have over 7.5 million locked in the Ren VM, which is mostly Bitcoin. Yet there is also something called bonding, of which over 57 million Ren are contained, worth over $9 million. So why is the Ren bonded, and what is that? Well, for Bitcoin to be created with the Ren VM, a user sends Bitcoin to a dedicated Bitcoin address, verified by the VM. That BTC is then held in custody through a trustless manner by the network of Ren dark nodes. That Ren BTC is then minted and sent to the user's Ethereum address to be used in DeFi. And here's where that bonding comes in with those Ren dark nodes. And from the Ren documentation on the dark nodes, the decentralized network of dark nodes is permissionless, but to prevent the forging of a large number of identities, a good behavior bond of 100k Ren tokens is required in order to register and run a dark node. This prevents malicious adversaries from running an unbounded number of dark nodes and overwhelming the network with misbehaving dark nodes. Yeah, the bond is to prevent malicious activity from their dark nodes, like collusion to steal the Bitcoin or other assets you can mint, like Zcash and Bitcoin Cash. So that value for Ren holders, it starts to explode the more Ren BTC that is minted. And with the tools Ren is putting out, like the WBTC Cafe, that means WBTC use is going to be accelerated. And that means more Ren BTC will be minted. What, Tyler? How? Remember, I said the cafe uses the Ren VM, and this is how it works. Number one, a user sends Bitcoin to a Bitcoin address generated on the WBTC Cafe. The Ren VM then locks the BTC on the Bitcoin network and converts it to Ren BTC. Number two, that Ren BTC is then automatically received by the Curve Finance liquidity pool, where it's automatically swapped for WBTC through the protocol's low slippage pool. And then number three, the user then receives the WBTC on Ethereum and are now free to do as they choose with it. So now we've covered the projects and Bitcoins on Ethereum I have talked about mostly before, and let's dive into the other ones which are more unknown. Let's begin with TokenLawn's IMBTC, as it has much more value locked up. And TokenLawn is more like WBTC in that it involves a trusted third-party custodian, which I think is TokenLawn themselves. I think I couldn't find much information on the custodian, which makes me weary, from a Medium post on the topic. However, we admit that the current IMBTC is still not perfect, as is the case with most blockchain financial products. Due to the limitations of blockchain technology, it is impossible to achieve both the ideal decentralization and ease of use. Therefore, we chose to adhere to the principle of security and transparency and temporarily use centralized hosting to make IMBTC easy to use, so as to better popularize usage. At the same time, TokenLawn is also planning on how to transform centralized hosting into a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, hosting solution that remains decentralized yet easy to use. So custodianship, it's scary when you don't know who it is, but the proof of reserves are verifiable, if that really means anything. But looking at the custodian page, they have something there, an APR. Yes, for holding, you earn interest from the TokenLawn DEX platform. They distribute the transaction fees from purchasing IMBTC on TokenLawn's DEXs to users, every single bit of it. That is cool, but then you had this happen with IMBTC. In April, several projects related to IMBTC, including one I covered, PiDAO, were hacked, and yeah, millions were lost. And what this came down to was re-entrancy attacks due to their ERC token design. They chose the ERC 777 standard instead of the tried and true ERC 20, which allowed this attack to happen to the dApps. Risky. Now the final one is PBTC, which only has about 30 Bitcoin minted, worth around 270k. But if we go to their website, the value is over 320k. And as we can see from the graph, that is because they are minting on EOS too. Interesting that they have cross-chain stuff going on, and they have a great infographic on their benefits over other Bitcoin assets. And they explain they use a network of validators secured by TEE to mint PBTC. Nice, I like that. but there is a section on its market making and liquidity appeal, which they say is high due to their peg in and peg out nature. Well, if we go to CoinGecko, that isn't there for some reason, only just over 6K in volume, and the spread on it, it's massive. PBTC is worth over 10K, but you couldn't get rid of a full one if you tried because the volume isn't there. So my friends, it's a wicka wild wild west of Bitcoins on Ethereum. Each version has its own pros and cons. Custodian models, if they have a trusted entity, might be safer for now because of the vulnerabilities in smart contracts. But as we saw with TokenLawn, they were centralized and there was a vulnerability found. Not with them, but the dApps using their token standard. So as the decentralized protocols grow, get tested, and the attack vectors closed, we will definitely see the growth of RenBTC and possibly PBTC. So the question is, should you be putting your Bitcoin on Ethereum? I'm definitely thinking about putting 2, but make your own choice and do your own research. Cheers, I'll see you next time.